It's pretty clear that President Trump wants to stimulate the US economy. Well, how's he going to do that? We'll discuss that in today's video. But what you need to keep in mind is that as of right now, his plan is to help those that are the working class, which is about 112 million Americans. And so what we are hearing right now is that President Trump plans to do more for people that have a job. So if you have a job, you're contributing to the US economy, and you're making an income, and it doesn't matter how much at this time, but he's going to reward you with some additional benefits. Today I want to break down what some of those benefits are, what they're currently discussing, and what we could potentially see in the very near future. Keep in mind, as of right now, the likelihood of receiving a stimulus check like we received during the pandemic is actually getting smaller and smaller. But the thing that's increasing the most are benefits to the American people that are working. So we're going to break this down in just a moment. But first, all I ask is one thing. Takes 2 seconds. Go ahead, hit that like button if you enjoy these daily updates. And now let's begin. So we have heard this time and time again. Keep in mind, during the very beginning of the pandemic, Republicans came out and said that they wanted to reward those that have a job, that are working and not collecting unemployment. Well, it seems like they're going to do that once again. Look at this right here. It says Republicans struggle to keep up with Trump's tax cuts pledge. It says the U.S. president is planning what he calls a big, beautiful bill as he shifts focus away from Ukraine. Now, what you need to take away from that is his big, beautiful bill is going to include many things. One of which is the extension of his 2017 Tax Cuts and Jobs Act. That right there is going to put more money back into the American people's pockets if they have a job and make an income. Because the taxes that you pay to the federal government are actually coming down as a result. I want to show you something else though. Look at this right here. This is really the only thing, well, for the people that make a little bit more money, this is one of the big provisions that they're discussing. It's the SALT tax deduction. It says Trump's tax package could include SALT deduction relief. Now, that's going to go to higher income earners that live in states like California, New York, places like that. But what you need to keep in mind is that the majority of the package is actually going to benefit the American people, the majority of the American people, lower income and middle class citizens. Okay? Now, I want to explain a few things though. A lot of people are asking, well, what's really the benefit behind this? Because Trump keeps talking, throws out all these different ideas, but here's what you need to know. The stimulus plan at this time isn't a physical check. You're not going to get a physical check of $1,500. That's highly unlikely at this point. Again, there's still discussions of a potential Doge dividend check, but as far as a stimulus check, highly unlikely. But what is likely is part of his stimulus plan. Keep in mind what President Trump has actually said. No tax on tips. Who does that benefit? That benefits those that are service workers, those that get paid in tips. So if you get no tax, no federal tax on any tips, more people would probably want to get paid in tips as opposed to an actual wage, which then they get taxed on. The next one, no tax on overtime pay. Who gets paid overtime? Well, people that work, right? Work more than their allotted hours, their 40 hours. Those are the ones that get overtime pay, which in many cases is time and a half or even double time. So the great news about having no tax on overtime is that's the most money you're going to get. Keep that in mind. You're not going to get any more than overtime, right? And so when you can actually save some of that money, it's not going to the federal government. That's perfect. But again, who does it benefit? Those that are getting paid or working overtime, those that are contributing to the U.S. economy. Now, here's another one, and it's no tax on Social Security benefits. Keep in mind, the majority of senior citizens, people that collect Social Security, do not actually file taxes because they don't get paid enough. So they just don't file, which usually means they don't pay into Social Security as well. Okay? But here's the reason why it's a big deal. If there's no tax on Social Security benefits, guess what? And here's the other discussion, and here's something else that they've been talking about, is if we want to really boost the U.S. economy, make sure everybody has a job. Every single person that is able to work, an able-bodied American, gets a job. Well, guess what? What if you are collecting Social Security benefits and you have a job, right? Because people that are full retirement age, there's no limit how much money you can make. Well, what if they expand that a little bit? You can actually retire early, right? You can get your benefits early and you can still work. What if they raise the cap on that, right? Or reduce the amount of money that you lose as a result? That's what they're discussing. Here's the next one. And we've heard this probably over the past 6 months or so, maybe a little bit longer than that, where there were multiple lawmakers, both Republican and Democrat, that were supportive of the idea where if you are collecting Social Security benefits and you're also working, how about you pay no income tax, no federal income tax on your income? No federal income tax. Simply because you are collecting benefits and you're working. You're contributing to the U.S. economy. And some said, well, that can kind of be opened to many people. How about we just make it to those that are over the age of 70? Let's entice them to come back to work, or entice them to continue to work as opposed to just collect benefits and stay at home. Yeah, it could work. Now, here's what you need to understand. Right now, there is a lot of discussions. A lot of people are upset that there are tariffs on the United States. There are tariffs proposed by the United States to other countries. And this is actually causing our prices to go up. That's concerning. Well, what can we do about that? Well, here's what we know. The tariff proposals, the tariffs that are placed on other countries, specifically China, of 145%, that is causing a lot of people to panic. Now, businesses are laying off more employees because of these tariffs. Well, President Trump wants to benefit and help stimulate the economy, but by having more people work. There's roughly 112 million Americans right now. It's between 30 and 35% of the U.S. population that are considered the working middle class. Well, what can we do for them? That's what the Trump administration has been asking. What can we do for the working class Americans to provide more benefits to them? How can we still bring in more revenue through tariffs, but not have it affect the working class? Well, it's simple, right? Give the working class more money. Don't tax them as much, right? This is why the Trump administration was initially discussing potentially increasing the tax rate for the highest income earners here in the United States, or potentially adding in a new category where you get taxed a certain percentage, let's say 39.6% or whatever. You get taxed that percentage on anything over, let's say, $700,000 to $1 million, right? There's a lot of discussions happening where they're considering taxing the higher income earners so that the middle and lower income earners can actually receive more benefits and more pay. So we're going to see what happens. But what I can tell you right now is that based off of everything that we've been seeing over the past several weeks, it looks like the Trump administration is adamant about providing more benefits to those with jobs. So here's what I want you to leave you with. If you currently do not have a job, I'd recommend you go get one. You need to have some way of contributing to the U.S. economy, whether it's through you actually have a physical job, right? You get paid, or you are starting a business, but you have to be bringing in some income at some point, because that looks like that's who the Trump administration is really planning to kind of create this package around. So we'll see, but that's what we know as of right now. Again, these are things that are changing every single day. President Trump says this, he says that. Lawmakers say, no, we can't do this, but we will do that. So as we get more information on this, I promise I'll bring you all the latest news and updates as soon as we get it. But again, Thank you guys for watching. Consider subscribing, and I'll see you guys on the next one.